Right. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you had a lovely break. So we continue with our revision. We're doing Nahu. And let me just fix my sound a little bit. Okay. I think we are done with negation. So if you have any questions on negation or any clarification, you can let me know and we can figure it out. Or if you have any questions on the drills or on the exercises in the drill notebook, we can also take a look at that. But otherwise, we are done with negation. So let me just show you where we are so you can appreciate what we've done so far. So we are in chapter 10. Contents. So basically, what we've done all of this stuff. We are actually on the second last chapter. So أفعال ناقصة. This is what we're going to start today, inshallah. So we're just going to look at a little bit about أفعال ناقصة, what they are, why are they called ناقصة, and things like that. And we cover the whole thing. And then we'll do some exercises, hopefully, on the same. All right. So let's begin. Let's see. Okay. Begin up. All right. So we have Kana and her sisters, which are also called الأفعال الناقصة. What do you guys think ناقص means? What do you guys think? Any ideas on what ناقص means? You probably have had this before in صرف. We covered this. What do you think it might mean? Any ideas? Anybody who knows the meaning of ناقص?
Is it unusual or like prohibited, I think?
So ناقص means like something that is incomplete or missing, lacking, like it's missing something, it's lacking something, it's incomplete. So that's what ناقص means. And there's a reason why they're called الأفعال الناقص. And in order for us to understand why they're called الأفعال الناقص, we have to understand a different kind of فعل called الأفعال التام. So you have this word here, الأفعال التام, and then you have الأفعال الناقص. So in order for us to know ناقص, we need to know تام. So what is الأفعال التام? الأفعال التام, which تام means complete. So ناقص means incomplete, تام means complete. So تام, basically, these fi'als, they deal with both an event and a time of the event. They have two things, an event and a time for that event. For example, if I say ذهبت. So let's take an example here. ذهبت. What does ذهبت mean? I went. So I went, there's a past tense there, which means there's a time, and that time is in the past, right? And then there's also an event that is happening. What is the event? Going. Going is the event. So the going happened in the past. And of course, I am the doer. So the two, I am the doer. So you have these two things coming together and they make the fi'al complete. So when you have a complete verb, you have two things. You have a time and you have an event. Something that is happening and at a particular time. That when those two things come together, you have a complete verb, which is called the fi'al tam. But ناقص, أفعال ناقص, these incomplete verbs, basically, they're missing an event. They only have time. For example, if I said, so for example, if I said, let's take the example of kana. we say kana, what do you think? What does kana mean?
He was.
He was. So kana means he was. So it just talks about a time. But he was what? There's no event. So do you see what is missing with this sentence? Or if I say asbaha, he woke up, or he became. He became what? He woke up what? What happened? What happened in the morning? So asbaha has to do with the morning. Then you have other أفعال الناقص as well. Is that clear so far? Why they're called ناقص? Yes, Fawzia.
Sorry, mistake.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah. All right. So that's basically فعل تام فعل ناقص. And of course, the opposite is a masdar, which is just has an event. Like if I say going or to go, that's an event. There's no time to it. It's timeless because it's an ism. It's timeless. So those are just basic understanding of complete verbs, incomplete verbs, and masdars and masdars. Now, what are some of the examples of this أفعال الناقص? So basically, this first table, this is what we have done. Okay. Then there's this other table that we have not done. But together, this is the complete list of these verbs that are incomplete. So you have كان, يكون, أصبح, يصبح. So كان and يكون, كان and أصبح, they conjugate normally. What does that mean? That means they're self-refiable. You can do the entire صرف كبير and صرف صغير of كان, and you can do the entire صرف كبير and صرف صغير of أصبح. So these two, the whole table, the whole صرف, it would do. But then you have ظل and ما زال لا يزال. These two, they only appear in ماضي and مضارع. You don't go beyond that. So you only have the ماضي and مضارع. You can't say ظل يظل, I don't know what the masdar would be, فهو ضال. No. If you go that direction, you totally mean a different thing. So it won't mean to remain. Okay. Same thing with ما زال لا يزال. We never say لا زال. By the way, لا زال does not exist. So that's just a point to note. Only ما زال exists. So in the ماضي, you will have ما زال ما يزال. But then in the مضارع, you only have لا يزال with a لا of nafi, negation. So you don't negate with لا when it comes to زال. And then of course, ما دام and ليس, these ones are always in the past, but they always mean present. When you translate them, you translate them in the present. So when you look at ما دام, this is a past conjugation. It's a ماضي. ليس is a ماضي, but it always means now. ليس, he is not. We don't say he was not. We say ليس, he is not. ما دام, as long as something is happening now. So that's basically a little bit of introduction about those, the ones that we're familiar with. And these are the ones that normally are more common and are used also in the Quran most of the time. So that's why we studied them in the Bayina program. You have others like Adha, which means something happened during the Duha time. You know the Duha time? So Adha would be that. Sara, to continue. Bata, to go. Bata means night time. So something is happening at night time. Amsa, evening. Something is happening at the evening time. Then you have ma bariha, ma fatiha, ma anfakka. These are a little bit, very not so common. In fact, they're not even used in the Quran. So we won't focus our time with those ones. All right. I hope so far so clear. If you have any questions, remember, just feel free to stop me. And these are things you already know. So I'm just kind of like, we're revising. So this sentences, this أفعال الناقصة, this incomplete verbs are treated as جملة اسمية. What are the parts of جملة اسمية? What are the different parts of a جملة اسمية?
بدأ خبر بالخبر.
Yeah. So these are the different parts of a جملة اسمية. مبتدأ خبر متعلق بالخبر. So when you have a جملة اسمية, this is what you expect to see, or at least, maybe these two might not be, it's not a must, but a mubtada is definitely going to be there. So the same thing with this kana and her sisters. they're treated as مبتدا خبر متعلق بالخبر. That's what we're looking at when we look at a كان sentence. So you see كان, you see أصبح, you see ظل, you see ما فتح, ما فتئ, sorry, you see any one of this. ما زال, ما دام, ليس. It's going to have a مبتدا, a خبر, متعلق بالخبر structure. So obviously the مبتدا is made up of the كان and its اسم. Its اسم is basically the doer, yeah, in that sentence structure. But because it's not a جملة فعلية, we don't really say doer, we say اسم كان, but it's the one doing the action. Okay, so if I say كان يذهب, كان يذهب, he used to be going. I don't know what that would mean, but كان يذهب, he was going, or he used to be going. So who was doing the action? The هو would be the اسم كان, right? So we don't say the فعل of كان. And then of course we have the خبر of كان. If the خبر of كان is an اسم, then it has to be nasab. It has to be nasab. That's basically it. If you have the خبر of كان as an اسم. And of course, if you have a متعلق بالخبر, nothing happens to the متعلق بالخبر. It's just the way it is. You can also have the خبر of كان as a متعلق بالخبر. That's what we're saying. And it can be complete جملة فعلية with a مضارع as a فعل, like just this example that we looked at. So you can have the خبر of كان as a جملة فعلية with a مضارع as the فعل. So you can't have the فعل here as ماضي. You can't say كان ذهب. What? That doesn't even make sense. So it has to be a مضارع. كان يذهب, كان يقرأ. Right? Yes, Fahima.
Sister Ilham, then when kana comes with the ya, it comes as a continuous past tense, used to be?
Yes. Yeah, when it comes to the mudara.
And also it can be translated was. It was, he was going.
Yeah, but because of the mudara, I prefer to make it continuous because there's a continuous meaning to it. I think it's better if you just use the continuous. Because then, I don't know. You can't say kana either because it's in the past. Because kana was already in the past. Kana yadhabu, he was going. And then you can also say he used to be going. I don't know. I think both can work. I will try to figure out if there's a difference. I don't know. I don't think so though. Any other questions?
With this kana, you have to look for the nasab, right? To be with kana.
If there's an ism, if the khabar of kana is an ism,
okay,
it will be nasab.
And so if there isn't, then you can take the mudare.
Yeah, it depends what the sentence is, and we'll look at some examples, inshallah. So when you look at the examples, you would get an idea of what the khabar of kana could be. So the khabar, it can either be nasab, it can be a khabar, or it can be a muta'alliq bil khabar. And if it's an ism, it will be in nasab. If it's not an ism, it will be a complete jumla fi'aliyah. Like in this case, yadhabu. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So the same thing when we looked at jumla ismiya, we had an inside doer and an outside doer. Same thing with kana. You can have an inside doer and an outside doer. Because remember, we are treating it as jumla ismiya. So it behaves like jumla ismiya. The only thing is, instead of a jumla ismiya, the khabar is marfu', it has dhamma on it. With kana, the khabar is going to be nasab. That's the only difference. Okay? So all the jumla ismiya rules will apply. Okay? So if you have an independent pronoun, then you have an inside doer. For example, let's take this example, these examples here. So we have huwa rajulun. Huwa rajulun. This is a jumla ismiya. Mubtada, khabar, right? So if I asked you, what kind of a pronoun do you see here? Huwa rajulun.
Huwa?
Yes.
Independent pronoun, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, huwa is the independent pronoun, which means when we make this into a kana sentence, we won't repeat the huwa. we'll just use كان the هو version, right? Or we will use أصبح the هو version, or would use ليس the هو version, ما دام the هو version, ظل the هو version, and so on and so forth. So if I wanted to say he was a man, how would I say?
كان
كان
رجلا.
رجلا.
Yes. كان رجلا. So I don't say كان هو رجلا. You see, I don't repeat the هو because the هو is already inside of كان. So it will be the inside doer of كان. And then you have this second example. For example, الأستاذة مسلمة. If I want to say, we can use أصبح to make it different. So I want to say the أستاذة became Muslim.
أصبحت الأستاذة مسلمة.
Yes. مسلمة. Yes, good. الأستاذة مسلمة. أصبحت. So of course, when we are reading that, we'll say أصبحت الأستاذة مسلمة. And of course, الأستاذة, we're putting a رفع, a ضمة on it because it's the outside doer of أصبح. And of course, because أستاذة is female, we're using أصبحت. Is that clear? Okay. أنت طالب. Let's use ما زال.
would it be ما زلت?
Okay. So we need to figure out how to conjugate ما زال.
Okay. زال 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 زالوا
Mm-hmm.
زالت زالت زلنا
So that's where
زلت.
زلنا.
Oh,
You reach
okay.
the women and the
زلنا.
women just decide, you know what, we don't want to be like everybody else. We'll see that a lot when we get to Sarf. The women just like, no, we want to be unique. And then they start a movement like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
بما زلنا زل زلت زلتما زلتم زلتي زلتما زلتن زلت زلنا.
Yes. So now I want to say, let's now use ما زال in this sentence. أنت طالب.
Okay. ما زلت طالبا.
Yes. ما زلت طالبا. You are still a student. You're still a student. Okay. Let's look at الكتاب. And again, of course, we conjugated ما زال because this is an independent pronoun. So it was an inside doer. We don't need to repeat أنت. Then we have الكتاب جميل. Let's use أصبح. No, we've already used أصبح. Let's use, which one can we use? Let's see up here. Let's use ما دام. As long as. So what is the doer here? Let's figure out the doer. What is the اسم of كان?
الكتاب.
So when you have an outside doer, do you conjugate or do you use the هو or the here version?
هو here version.
What is the هو or here version? Which one are we going to use here?
هو
ما دام ما دام
ما دام الكتاب جميلا.
ما دام الكتاب
جميلا.
جميلا. So that's basically how it will be. So we don't conjugate when you have an outside doer. When you have an outside doer, you stick to the هو or the here version. So ما دام الكتاب. Yes.
It's original damu or dama.
It's just dama. This one does
Dama.
not change. Yeah, ما دام. As long as. And you don't have any other version of it. It's only
So
madama.
dama, it will be the
No,
for
no.
dwell also it will be.
No. You don't have let me just confirm that, but I don't think it conjugates. This one you only have like the two versions. Let me confirm with the book. I'm not so sure about this one. I think it only exists in the Madi. You don't have beyond the Madi. So it's going to be madama, madama, madamu, madamat, madamata, madamna, madumna. Oh, that's I think where confirm that. Not 100% sure. So you can see here in the book,
Okay.
like the kana, all the conjugations happen. So you have madi, mudari', you have amr, nahi, you have all this. And then dhalla, you have madi and mudari' only. Then mazala and la yazal, you have madi and mudari' only. Then madama, yeah, this is the part. So madama, you only have madi only. That's what I was. Then, of course, you see when we come to hunna, madumna. Women just want to create problems for some reason. Yeah. And then, of course, that sticks. You have madumta, madumtuma, madumtum, like that. So that's
Is there a way
madam.
Sorry. Is there a way to remember that dama will change into dumna and zala will change into zilna?
I think just memorize. Just
Memorize.
memorize.
Okay.
There's no
Right.
trick. Because I don't know
Okay.
why they picked a kasra here and why they picked a dhamma here. I don't know. Like the women just decided we want to be unique. So yeah, but it happened. But most of the time, when it comes to sarf, you will find out that the women are going to be unique. So if you reach the women, you want to ask yourself, okay, is it the same conjugation or is it different? Yeah. And I think also it's because when you look at dama, what kind of irregularity is that? What do you guys think?
Ajwa?
Yeah.
Ajwaf.
Yeah. So that means there's a weak letter there in the middle. It could either be a waw, it could either be a ya. We don't know. So depending on the root letters, it will either be a dhamma or a kasra. So that's basically how you can, if you want to be so technical about it, that's how you can think about it. So you ask yourself, okay, madama, this is ajwaf, that means the jidr is dal, waw or ya, and then mim. And in this case, because it's taking a dhamma, then it's waw. If it takes a kasra, then it's, yeah. That's kind of like ajwaf, basically. And I think we'll talk about more about ajwaf when we get there. All right. So that's just a little bit about conjugation of madama. So it conjugates only in the madi, and when you reach the women, it's going to be madumna. And I guess you'll have to know a bit of sarf, irregular sarf, to be able to know some of those things, inshallah. Let's look at
Since Ilham, you took it ma dama as you have taken a meme alif. Dwell you have taken it?
No, there's not supposed to be an alif. I was just
Okay,
this is a
I got
mistake.
confused actually. Yeah.
Sorry. No, that's for two people. So yeah, I made a mistake there. Yeah, ما دام الكتاب جميلا. Okay, هن أمهات. If I want to use, which one do we use? Which one haven't we used? Let's use ما زال.
ما زلنا أمهاتا أو أمهاتين.
Yes. So ما زلنا, remember with zala, you get to the women, they take a kasra. ما زلنا أمهات, because atun, atin. So we know that this is nasab that way. يلعبان كرة السلة. يلعبان كرة السلة. Let's go to kana. What do you guys think?
So they are playing basketball?
Yes. I want to say they were playing basketball.
They.
كان يلعبان كرة السلة.
So kana, how many people? Is it the who version?
One.
Or One version.
So it would be كانوا
يلعباني, how many people do you see? How many is it?
12. Kana.
two.
So it's going to be
Maybe
كانا.
Okay.
Both of them?
Oh, so it will follow the status of fi'il after it.
Yes. It has to follow because you have to conjugate because kana conjugates normally. So if you're talking about two people, we have to mention also the two people in kana. Only when you have an outside doer, that's when you use the huwa version or the here version. But in this case, we have an inside doer. So the kana also has to have an inside doer.
So the al-abani is can we consider as isim of kana or not?
No, this is going to be the khabar of kana. It's a
Oh,
jumla
okay.
fi'aliyah, remember? It's jumla fi'aliyah.
Okay.
So kana يلعباني.
Kurata silati.
سلة. كرة السلة.
Oh, kurata silati.
سلة. Yeah.
So this would
Basketball.
translate into those two used to play
Yes.
basketball.
Yes. Basically, yeah. They used to play basketball. Both of them used to play basketball. And then تأكلين الطعام. تأكلين الطعام. Let's use which one do we use? I want to keep it exciting. ليس.
Takulina. Lasta.
So who is doing
Lusty.
Last.
who is this
Lusty.
person? Yeah. Do we see that
You
it's
all female.
you are female?
تأكلين.
Ta beginning
You
in ending.
a single female. You one single.
Single female. Just you, Lusty. Lusty was right.
Yeah, sorry.
But then Takulina was wrong. Yeah. But that's fine. So let's see.
Takulina ta'am.
الطعام. الطعام because now it's the the مفعول of تأكل. Oh yeah. Is that clear so far? Done a little bit of exercises.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, great. So now that is just positive sentences. Okay. We've looked at, conjugating different kinds of words, but in a positive way. Now we want to look at negation. How do we negate kind of sentences? So there's basically three things that we need to consider, and then of course there's the templates. The first thing we need to realize is if we're negating in the past, then same way we negate in jumla ismiya. We used ma and we used lam plus mudari. Remember that when we were doing negation just a couple of weeks ago, we said when you're negating in the past, you use ma plus the maadi, or you use lam plus the mudari. But in this case, because we're using either kana or asbaha or one of those sisters, we'll use ma plus kana or lam plus yakun. It's going to be majzoom, right? If you're negating in the present, we're going to use ma or la. And of course, both are going to be marfu. They're going to have a dhamma on it. And then, of course, you can also negate in the future by using lan. And we remember that lan is a light harf, so it's going to be yakuna. It's not going to be yakunu. It's going to be yakuna. So those are the three different ways of negating. Okay, so ma kana. So if let's take a sentence here. Let's take the easiest. So huwa rajulun. He is a man. Kana rajulan. That's what we did, right? Now I want to say ma kana rajulan. And no problem, Nida. It's fine. Thank you for being with us. So if I want to say he was not a man.
ما كان رجلا same as that.
Yeah, ما كان رجلا. It remains the nasab. This just remains. Nothing happens to it. Or if I want to use لم يكن.
لم يكن رجلا.
Yeah, لم يكن رجلا. Same stuff. If I want to say If I want to, let's look at. Let's look at الكتاب جميل. Let's
So
try and
Ilham, this kana is used both in Jumla Ismi and both in Jumla Fi'liya, both the forms, right?
yes.
So
It
if
conjugates
you
normally.
so we're using lam yakun rajulan, so this is Jumla Fi'liya plus Jumla Ismiya. How would you say this, man? Like lam yakun rajulan. What how would you put i'rab?
Oh, okay, that's what you mean. Okay, so let me write that here. So lam yakun rajulan. So of course yakun, what kind of a word is that?
Mudari.
Yeah, this will be a mudari', and this is, we'll say, a فعل مضارع ناقص مجزوم بلم, and then of course the rajulan would be the khabar of kana mansub. So that's basically how you would see it in the i'rab books. If you want to make your life easy, you can say that lam yakun, the whole thing, is a mubtada, and rajulan will be the khabar. That's how Ustad taught us.
Oh.
Yeah, but if you go to
So there will
i'rab
be
books,
no concept of Jumla Fi'liya. Matlab, there will be no concept of fail,
if
file.
if you go to i'rab books, they will not call this a mubtada. They would, oh well, some might actually say this is a mubtada, but they will say that this is a fi'l naqis. You would actually see it as fi'l naqis. Yeah. So it's good to be familiar with these words, because when you go to tafsir books, which Ustad is training us to do, and to read classical books, these are the words you will see. So if you see fi'l naqis, don't be like, what does fi'l naqis mean? And it just means that kana is an incomplete verb, and yeah, that's what it means.
So
but
it
you
could
can
be
still,
we can put Arab in two ways.
yes,
One other day we can take it as mubtada and nasab. Other ways we can just say it as it is fail mudari, incomplete naqis, and it's ism of it. The khabar of kana is rajulan. That's it.
yes, yeah. And of course here when you're doing it, you don't say the fa'il, you would probably say the ism of kana here. That's the difference.
Yeah, how would you translate it? This is yeah, Sister Ilham.
Lam
He
yakun rajulan, he
was
was not. He was not a
he
man.
was not. Sister Ilham, like lam will come with like didn't, right?
Lam?
Plus mudar. But if you want to negate the past tense,
Mm-hmm.
you use lam plus mudare, and
Yes.
it translates as did not, right?
Yes. But in this case, you
So,
cannot say he did not a man. He was not a man. Because kana means was. Right? Kana means was. Kana rajulan means he was a man. So he was not a man. Ma kana rajulan or lam yakun rajulan. Both would, that's how you translate in the past.
okay.
If I want to say he is not a man, then we come to the mudari, the present negation. He is not a man. ما يكون رجلا or لا يكون رجلا. He is not a man. Right? And if I want to say in the future, he will not be a man. لن يكون رجلا. Is that clear?
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, great. So it just depends on what you're trying to negate. Is it in the past? Is it in the present? And it's the future. You use the same structures that we used in negation. Yeah, only that kana would conjugate the way it conjugates. Same thing with asbaha. Asbaha is going to conjugate as well. So ma asbaha lam yusbih. Right? Lam yusbih. And then you have ma yusbihu and la yusbihu. And then lan yusbiha. So those two, they conjugate normally. So some of the templates that I actually used in negation, remember when we were doing negation, we looked at some templates that are sort of like have a particular meaning. Same thing with kana. So if you have kana plus lam, and then followed by, of course, lam is a harf jar, so followed by majroor, and then an, ma kana li something, and a verb. Okay, so here it's followed by a fi'al mudari' mansub. So let's take, for example, we go with the same كان رجلا. ما كان لمحمد أن يكون something. Or, okay, we can't use, if you use كان twice, it might confuse you. So, ما كان لمحمد أن يذهب. Let me just write that somewhere.
Yes, sister, if you could write it separately.
So, ما كان لمحمد أن يذهب. So it's going to be يذهب because of أن, right? And then the template is lam plus an ism, which is going to be majroor. And then you have an. So we're saying la plus an ism. Then we have an. So that's the template. ما كان لي something or someone and something. Is the template clear?
For Muhammad to go.
Yes, that's what it means. It means it was not appropriate for Muhammad to go. Why did Muhammad go? It was not appropriate for him to go. ما كان لمحمد أن يذهب. Right? So when you see this la, harf of jar, followed by its ism, and then you have an, means it was not appropriate for somebody to do something. Is that template clear?
Appropriate is the word you use there.
Yeah. Yeah, it just brings that meaning, even though the word appropriate is not here. So you see in the sentence, appropriate does not appear. You have ma, which means it's a negation, not. Kana means was. Then you have Muhammad. An means to. The yadhaba, to go. So appropriate does not appear in the sentence. But because this template is used, it brings about that meaning. Okay, so I cannot say that I will translate this sentence as ما كان لمحمد and Muhammad was not to go. That would be the literal translation. Muhammad was not to go. But it doesn't sound right in English. So it wasn't appropriate for Muhammad to go.
Actually, maybe you can see Makana, it was not Li Muhammadin for Muhammad an yazhaba to go.
Yeah, you can say that, but it doesn't
So
bring the
it
meaning.
means it was not appropriate. I mean, for
Yes.
if you want to learn it like that, right?
Yes. It's the same meaning, but
Yeah.
some people might struggle to understand when you say it wasn't for Muhammad to go. Like, some people might struggle with that. But what we intend to mean is actually it wasn't appropriate for him to go. It wasn't necessary for him to go. He shouldn't have gone, basically. Those kinds of meaning. Yeah. Is that clear?
Yes, sister, is it an yadhab with a khabar of kana then? Or is there a bit confused with that?
With the structure here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ما كان لمحمد, this would be the ism of كان في محل جر في محل رفع, because it's being attacked by an ism a jar here, then it's going to be majroor, but in bracket is going to be the ism of كان, and then of course this would be the khabar of كان. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that's one template. We have another template, which is فعل. So ما كان, what is this? ما كان someone li something. So that's another template without the li in the beginning. Here we had a li in the beginning. So if I just said ما كان محمد, now it's going to be مرفوع because it's the ism of كان. And is there an? No, li. Sorry. ما كان محمد ليذهب. Okay. So this one would mean he was not one to. That's what this one would mean. He was not one to. Okay. So ما كان محمد ليذهب. It was not for Muhammad to go. Or Muhammad was not one to go. I don't know if that's clear. Let me think of a better example. I feel like this example is not the best. ما كان
The book has an example. You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
ما كان الله
that's
ليعذبهم.
That's an ayah. Okay. ما كان الله
عذبهم.
ليعذبهم.
There's more though. وأنت فيهم.
Yeah, I was talking about the Prophet ﷺ. No problem, Jazila. Thank you for being with us. So, ما كان الله, of course, the lafzul jalala here is the outside door, right? Li yu'adhibahum. So you have this kind of template plus li. Is that clear? It is not Allah is not one to punish them while you're with them. Allah is not one to punish them while you're still among them. That's kind of how you translate that. But you can still translate it directly. ما كان الله ليعذبهم. Allah was not one to punish them. If you can get that meaning, it's fine.
Like it was Allah was not to punish them.
Yeah.
Literal translation if you go for it, just like an appropriate one.
Yeah. That would be the literal translation. But to give it a better translation,
Meaning?
we use this
Yeah.
was not one to.
Yes.
Is that clear so far? So those are just two templates that we use with kana, and they have slightly different meanings than the literal meaning, basically. All right. So last thing, just some special points to note about kana and their sisters. When it comes with lafzul jalala, for example, in this example that we did, ma kana Allahu liya'adhibahum, it does not apply only in the past. Remember we said kana or these verbs, they have a time and they don't have an event. Oh, yeah. So in this case, we don't just restrict it to the past. We say only it wasn't Allah was not one to punish them in the past. No, we don't restrict it to when it comes to al-lafzul jalala when it comes to Allah. So there's no time factor when it comes to Allah. That's very,
Sister,
very
I have one
important.
question.
Mhm.
Many times in the Quran, I read with the translation where kana was not translated as was, but it was translated as is as well.
Yeah.
Why
So-
is that? How?
That would depend with the context. It depends with the ayah. So sometimes, I don't know if you remember, there's a class we did with Ustad where he said some madis can be translated as in the future or in the present. So that could be a reason. Or it could be a reason maybe because it comes with the name of Allah. That's why it's translated like that. So there are several reasons why a madi can be translated as mudara. And I think
many
when we
times
get there,
though the madi is there, but it be translated as mudari.
yeah.
So there are the rules. Do you have rules there where you should translate it as a
let me
mudari?
just show you.
We know one is with iza and is, we know that situation.
So let's.
And apart from that, also
we have, yes. Go on.
like when we make dua, we know that more usually, because I get confused because in EMSA when we are reading kana, we are usually using it for the was. So is there any difference between classical Arabic and the modern standard Arabic? And MSA we can use it kana just as was, and when classically you can use according to the context is or was.
Okay, so this is what you need to understand. There's the Quran and then there's spoken Arabic. MSA is basically Fusha, is proper Arabic. It's not the dialect, it's proper Arabic that is used maybe in news and things like that. So it's proper spoken Arabic. Then you have the Quran, and then you have classical. Classical is how the Arabs used to use Arabic. But then you have the Quran, and Quran is unique. It took the classical, but then it also made its own rules. So Quran has some of its own rules, and this is where balagha comes in. Like when you look at just the balagha, balagha is when you use something different from how it was used. So the Arabs used to use classical Arabic in a certain way, and then the Quran comes and use it differently. That's balagha. Balagha comes in there. So one of the balagha things is actually when you have fi'al madi being used in the mudara. So there's several ways. You can use it as plain past. We are familiar with that. or something that happens occasionally several times in the past, or it could be just once in the past. I know it's a bit confusing because it sounds contradicting, but it depends with the context. That's what we're saying. And then you have the non-standard usage. Now this is where that comes in and what you're talking about. So the number one is dua. When you're making dua, this is a non-standard usage of the madi. We don't translate it as, like, for example, قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا أَكْفَرَ. We don't say the people, the human is cursed. That's not how we translate it. We say, may the human be cursed, or may the human be killed. We're making a dua in that sense. Then you have using it, the second way is promises and warnings. So you can use it to make promises, like inna kafaynaka al-mustahzi'in. Certainly we will protect, like we will. It's a madi, but we are using it for we will. See that?
Present and future can be used as Sister Ilham.
Yes, present, future, past, like sometimes, yeah, it can be like that. So you can use the madi for the mudari'. I'm trying to figure, yeah, so even the mudari' can be used to mean the madi. So that's a little bit, yeah. So it depends with the context. I don't want us to look at much of this because we'll get there when we get there and we'll talk about this stuff, inshallah. But yeah, so that can happen in the Quran. It just depends with the context. Clear? Okay.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
All right. And of course, the other point to note is when it comes with the mudara', it gives the meaning of used to, or like continuous tense. So that's just basically Kana and her sisters. So we're going to look at some examples. If there are no questions to the introduction, we're going to look at some examples, and then in like 9 minutes we can end, inshallah. So I have some of these examples because in the workbook there are no examples, so I had to come up with my own examples. So let's just try and see if we can be able to do some practice here. Maybe just the first part, we can do the first part. So the instructions are simple. Transform the following sentences to Kana and her sisters sentence structure. Indicate the mubtada, khabar, and متعلق بالخبر. So let's have the first one. العالم مجنون. العالم مجنون. What does that mean, first of all?
The world is mad.
World is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, the world is
Crazy.
crazy. The world is mad. The world is crazy. So I want to say the world was mad, or the world was crazy.
كان العالم مجنونا.
Yeah. Let me see if I can be able to type. So كان العالم, I could just copy this. Make it easier. كان العالم مجنونا. How about if I want to do the أصبح version of it? The world became crazy.
أصبح العالم.
Yeah. So the same thing. أصبح العالم مجنونا.
Sister Ilham, would you mind to elaborate a little bit more on Asbaha? Asbaha is just to become, because I've come across the few meanings in Amsa also, but it was a little confusing. To come to do. So could you please tell us if Asbaha means just that?
What I know, أصبح means like something that's happening in the morning. Like أصبحت, I woke up doing this. Like also we normally say in MSA, تصبح على خير, like wake up well. When we say good night, we don't say good night in Arabic. We say تصبح على خير, wake up well, or wake up with in خير, something like that. Or تصبحين على خير, or yeah, تصبح على
So the
خير.
literal translation is for the morning, but we use it as to become, right?
Yes, we use it for the meaning of becoming, because like the morning, like something becomes something else in the morning. So I think that's how they use it. I don't know about other meanings like to do, That's something I need to maybe research on.
Yeah. Okay, inshallah. But this classical Arabic, we use it usually to become, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jazakallah.
Or in the Quran also it means morning. Something
Yeah,
happened in the
morning.
morning.
Yeah.
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 So those are the two that I'm familiar with. But the other meanings I will try and look for them.
No problem. Jazakallah.
Okay. ظل. Still.
The world remained crazy.
Yeah. The world remains.
ظل العالم مجنونا.
Yep. مجنونا. ما زال.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Do you know we've made Majnun and Nasab?
Mm-hmm.
So is it that the verb we make Nasab? I mean, I couldn't have made Alamu Nasab.
So let's figure out the different parts. Let's look at this sentence here. Give me the mubtada, give me the khabar.
So the mubtada is the first rafa, so it has to be kana will be mubtada, won't it?
Before we go to kana, let's just look at al-alamul majnun.
Okay, so the first rafa will be the mubtada, al-alamu.
And of course this will be the khabar, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at. Then when we have this sentence now, kana, we have to ask ourselves if it's the huwa or the hiya version, then does it have an outside dua?
Yes, the first rafa.
So this whole thing then is what?
Mubtada.
So you see why this is nasab?
Oh, okay. Jazakallah khair. I was so confused on how did this become nasab.
Yeah, mostly when you have the outside dua, it gets a little bit tricky because you wonder, okay, which one is nasab, which one is not nasab? But then you ask yourself which one is the dua. When you ask yourself which one is the dua, you will figure it out.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you.
All right. Okay. All right. So mazala, we're here. Mazala. Same thing, guys.
Al-alamu majnunan.
Yeah. So basically, we're just copy pasting stuff. Madama, as long as.
Madam al-alamu majnunan.
Yeah. So we're starting off pretty easy. There's no complications. Now we have laysa, negation.
ليس العالم مجنون.
Yeah. ليس العالم مجنونا. Simple stuff. Nothing complicated here. Then we have هما في المدرسة. وهما في المدرسة. We have
في المدرسة.
Sorry?
كان في المدرسة.
Yeah.
كان.
كان. Yes. كان. I'm just gonna copy this again because في المدرسة is a متعلق بالخبر. We don't worry about making anything nasab. So it's just gonna be في المدرسة. It's just gonna remain like that. So كان في المدرسة. What about أصبح?
أصبح في المدرسة.
أصبح. أصبح في المدرسة. They became. I don't know what that would mean, but we're just doing practice here. Or they woke up in the morning while they were in school. Maybe that's the meaning. They woke up in school. Or they found themselves in school in the morning. Something like that. ظل, remain. Yes. ظل في المدرسة. ما زال. Still.
ما زال.
ما زال في المدرسة. Both of them are still in school. ما دام, as long as.
ما دام في المدرسة.
ما دام في المدرسة. As long as both of you are in school. ليس.
ليس في المدرسة.
Yes. Both of them are not in school. ليس في المدرسة. We'll do this last one and then inshallah we can end there. تحت الأرض كنز. Or maybe just let me just type it. تحت الأرض كنز. What does this mean? تحت الأرض كنز.
Under the earth there is treasure.
Yeah, there's treasure under the earth, or there's under the earth is treasure. Oh, there's treasure. So what's the mubtada? What's happening in this sentence? Let's figure out this sentence first.
So yeah,
It's متعلق بالخبر مقدم.
Yes. Is it muqaddam really though?
Oh, متعلق بالخبر. Yeah,
No.
مقدم.
Tamzin
Well,
is common.
it is muqaddam, but what I'm trying to ask is there a special meaning?
مبتدا is nakira. So it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So we don't have special meaning, right?
No, because mubtada
Yeah.
is nakira.
So if it doesn't have a special meaning, so we don't say it as muqaddam.
I mean, we know what, yeah, we can say still muqaddam. We can, because that's what it means, like it's ahead. But this is just a normal jumla ismiya structure. Like there's no,
Okay.
yeah. that's what I'm-
Ikhtisas is not there.
Yeah, there's no
ikhtisas.
ikhtisas. Exactly.
Could it be read as there is treasure under the earth?
That's exactly how you translate.
Okay, because it's mutalik bil khabar. Okay.
Yes. And I want to say there was treasure under the earth.
كان تحت الأرض كنز.
Yeah. So you can just maintain the same structure. What am I doing? Kana. Let me just copy this. Kana تحت what did you say? Kanzun or kanzan? What did you say? I didn't.
كنزان.
Kan?
كنزان. No, I said kanzun. Sorry.
Well, I confused you a little bit, eh? So the mubtada is going to be the ism of kana. So it's like saying kana kanzun تحت الأرض. You can also say that. That would be correct. So the ism of kana basically is kanzun. Yeah. So I'm just going to put it there, and we can have kana كنز تحت الأرض. Oops. Yeah, something like that. Both are okay. So there's no khabar of kana here in this case. Right? If I want to say asbaha, a treasure, a treasure became under the earth. I don't know what that would mean, but yeah, we're just doing practice here.
أصبح تحت الأرض كنز.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sentence would stay the same for all of them. Because
Yeah.
there's no cover.
Yeah, it's gonna stay the same because nothing is really happening. There's no khabar of kana, so we don't have to change anything. So I'm just gonna copy that. I'm gonna paste that. Yeah. And yeah, you basically understand the same thing. So, and we won't even be conjugating this kana, whatever, because kanzun, which is the isim of kana, it's an outside dua. So it's always going to be a huwa version. It's going to be asbaha, it's going to be dhalla, it's going to be mazala, it's going to be madama, it's going to be laysa. Nothing different is going to change there. So I think we can end there. If there are any questions, and then inshallah next week we can pick up from yaqulu al-haq. That's where we can start from this exercise. There's quite a bit, and I can still look for more, and also some ayat of the Quran as well. And then maybe inshallah next week we shall also look at kana at-tam. That's going to be interesting, because I told you fa'al naqis. Kana is a fa'al naqis, and naqis is the opposite of tam. So naqis is incomplete. So kana essentially is incomplete. But wait, there's a kana that is actually complete. And we're going to look at that next week, inshallah. So that's something to look forward to. And then these exercises as well. So I don't know if there's any question. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات وذكر الحكيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.